Once again, we are in the Gospel of John, chapter 19, verses 38 through 42. And this is Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus coming to claim Jesus' body. There was a rich man named Joseph who was from Arimathea in Judea. Although he was a prominent member of the Sanhedrin, he was a righteous man and hadn't agreed to their actions. He was looking forward to the kingdom of God, but followed Jesus secretly because he was afraid of the Jews. That evening, he boldly asked Pilate if he could remove Jesus' body. Pilate was surprised that Jesus was already dead, so he sent the centurion to confirm it. Then he allowed Joseph to take the body. A final step in the work of the resurrection. Of course, the Son of God remains passive, and God took these two secret disciples, Joseph, Arimathea, and Nicodemus, who belonged to the Sanhedrin, who were Pharisees, to receive the body of Jesus and bury him. And burial had to be before sundown at the start of the Sabbath, so Luke 23:54 tells us this. Customary, the bodies of crucified criminals were left on the crosses to rot or let the birds eat, but these men were taken and probably buried by their relatives. Nicodemus, who had visited Jesus by night, assisted Joseph. He brought a 75-pound mixture of myrrh and aloes. Joseph brought a clean cloth made of fine linen. They wrapped Jesus' body with fragrant spices and strips of linen in accordance with the Jewish burial custom. This is not precisely said, but the implication is Joseph and Nicodemus did this themselves. They were wealthy, influential men, and they could have found servants, but they did this themselves, knowing who Jesus really was. Joseph and Nicodemus wrapped the body with myrrh, and it's a fragrant, beautiful fragrance. 100 pounds that Nicodemus brought. And one of the customs Jews preparing the body for burial was to remove all the foreign matter from the body and wash it. So this was usually for servants to do, and here these two religious leaders are doing it. Joseph had carved out a new tomb out of the rock, and it was in a garden near the crucifixion site. No one had ever been buried in it. Since it was preparation day, the Sabbath was about to begin, and because the tomb was nearby, they buried Jesus there. They rolled a stone in front of the tomb. Now, the burial cave had like beds in it, and they would lay the body out. They weren't burying in the ground like it's custom here. Matthew 27:60 says that this was Joseph's tomb, so it's carved right in a solid rock, and it was a beautiful garden. Typical tomb had a small entrance, and I've been in the garden tomb, and it has a small entrance, and the bodies were laid out to be basically somewhat mummified with the spices and the ointments and the linens, and the body was supposed to decay, and then the bones were taken and placed in boxes and then put into like little holes in the wall. Mary Magdalene, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and the other women from Galilee sat across from the tomb and watched as Jesus was buried. Afterwards, they went home, prepared the spices and perfume. They rested on Sabbath in obedience to the law.